And welcome back to the Oklahoma Today podcast. I'm your host, Ben Lucian, and for centuries, the world's greatest minds have wondered about one single question, that question being, what does the fox say? Well, on this week's episode, we met at least one fox who says, welcome to Sequoyah State Park in Hulbert, Oklahoma. Our very own Chris Cook ventured out to Sequoyah recently to meet a truly adorable ensemble cast of critters that called their nature center home. We'll see them in just a second, I promise, just 1 second. But first, a friendly reminder to please hit subscribe if you've not already done so. We recently did hit our 200 subscriber goal for July. Please clap. Thank you very much. Our 200 subscriber goal has been hit thanks to your help. And I know if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you as part of our growing OKT Pod family. Now, with that out of the way, Chris, let's meet some critters.
So here at Sequoyah, we have multiple animals that are non-releasable. They've gone through rehab, and due to that, we have them as our animal ambassadors here. So what that means is they live here, this is their permanent residence, but because of that, we do educational tours to educate the public on why they live here, why it is illegal to own wildlife, the importance of rehabs and getting these animals back into the wild if that is what we can do. So Bixby and Timber are now paired together. Initially when Timber came, she was still a really small kit. So we had her in her own individual enclosure, and the larger she got, the more of a green light we got to put them in the same enclosure but separated in what's called a howdy pen. This is a proper way of introducing a wildlife together. It helps both give them their own space in a safe way, in a way that we can monitor and make sure that they're going to be a good pair. Just like humans, not everybody meshes well. Just because they're both of the same species does not mean that they're going to habitate together well. So we introduced them via the howdy pen. Things went really well. We kept getting really good positive interactions, and over time we would slowly introduce her out into the enclosure while we were here. And then whenever we went home, we would take her back to her howdy pen, and ultimately she was fully introduced. Things went great. They are heavily bonded. She follows him around like a puppy dog. And Bixby has that little sibling syndrome sometimes, that the little sibling won't quit following him and wants to do exactly that he is doing at all times. So they love apples, sweet potatoes, bananas. They eat their greens. That's not very nice. You gotta turn around. You wanna turn around? Just turn around. That's all I need. Thank you. That's okay. You're okay. Okay.
That's hilarious. He's like, I don't want to be on TV.
He's like, both of our beavers, Bixby and Timber, were orphans. They both came from the same wildlife rehabber, which is Wild Heart Ranch out of Claremore. So with both of them, they were both found abandoned to a large degree. So with Timber, she was an orphan, found on top of her den, crying for hours, taken in by fishermen. And with Bixby, he was unintentionally made an orphan. So his family had lived on a private pond. The people that owned the area assumed it was abandoned. So when they demolished it, he was the only survivor. So our animals don't have generally the best stories going into rehab, and that's how these animals get in rehab in the first place. It's not warm and fuzzies. There's some sort of trauma or damage that has happened initially, and that's how they get into rehabs, because at the end of the day, wildlife should be in the wild, but there are certain instances where that is not proper for that animal. And for all the animals here at Sequoyah, that is the thing. They've all gone into rehab. They've been deemed non-releasable for various reasons. Some of them orphan, most of them were illegal pets, and because of that, they cannot live into the wild. If we were to release them, they wouldn't make it. They don't have the survival skills. And so that's where we come into play. We are a permanent housing facility for non-releasable wildlife. We don't go out and collect wildlife in the wild. That's not our purpose. That's not our mission. Our mission is to give homes to those who need it in proper settings. Ranger is a very odd story. So he was a tiny pup, eyes and ears still closed, found in the middle of nowhere by an individual who then took him to a rehab facility. So oftentimes rehab facilities, if they are huge ones, they have a lot of volunteers because it takes an army to get these animals back into the wild. That day, the person that was doing intakes, maybe they didn't realize exactly what coyotes look like when they're that little. Maybe there was just a general mistake, but they deemed him a domestic canine. And so with him thought to be a domestic, they could not take him in. So they sent him back with the original finder, and due to how sick he was, he had to be sent to a domestic cat and dog rescue. So that would have all been fine and dandy, except Ranger was in fact not a domestic, he was a wild coyote. So the larger Ranger got, the more they realized that he in fact was not a domestic, he was a wild animal. Initially thought to be a fox, and then they ultimately realized that he was in fact a coyote. So Ranger came to us when he was about 3 months old in September, and he is now just about to be 1. So we've got almost a year-old coyote. He's still got that playful puppy in him, and he loves to show off to guests all his toys. So with our foxes, we have 2 separate foxes. We have Roxy, who is our older resident. She is 11. She was an illegal pet for the first year of life, and you'll hear that story pretty repetitively during our corridor tour. So within the first year of life, there are these cute fuzzy little animals that people assume, because they want their care and they need their care, that they are being receptive of that. Well, within the first year, they kind of get away from that and they start reacting more like their wild counterparts, but they're not in fact wild. So people often will release them in the wild and they don't make it because they don't have the survival instincts or skill sets that their parents would have taught them. So with her, she was surrendered into a rehab facility and deemed non-releasable due to imprintation, so not fearful of humans. And we've had her since she was 1. And she's a little bit smaller and lighter in coloration due to her age. Just like us, we start to lose our pigment and we start to get a little bit smaller as we age. And then the larger of the 2 is Ruby. So Ruby was a neighborhood pet. Everyone in the neighborhood played with her and fed her, and she quickly bonded to humans. So it is illegal to feed wildlife for a very good reason. What happens is these animals become dependent upon humans, or they just become non-fearful. And it not only becomes a negative concept with the humans, humans kind of get this idea that it's okay and it's socially acceptable when it's not. What happens with the wildlife is they'll teach their young, in order to find food, we find people. So oftentimes the risk of humans being bitten amplifies because these animals are becoming in close contact, and they are species that are vectors for various diseases, including rabies. So that's not something that we need to kind of encourage, because 1, it's illegal, and 2, it's not okay. The other critter that we have is Luna. So Luna is our striped skunk, and she is 4 years old. She was a purchased skunk. So she was purchased off of a breeder, and though there are some species that it is legal to own, if you don't have the proper permitting and you do not go through the proper chains, it is illegal to do so. And I will state, just because it is legal to own some wildlife does not mean that it's okay. Wild is in the name wildlife for a very good reason. That's where they belong. There are certain instances like Sequoyah where we are a facility and we have the permitting and everything, so we are allowed to, and we do it solely out of necessity for the animals, not because we want to collect a plethora of critters. But with with Luna, so the people that had purchased her found out that it was illegal what they had done, and they had done the right thing. They contacted a rehab, and she got placed there. So there was another skunk at that point that was in that rehab, and she definitely bonded to that skunk. She saw her as more of a motherly figure, and skunks are generally solitary, so she never got to the point where she was really fearful of humans. But because of the breeder, she had already been fixed and descented, so she could not be into the wild. Whereas a wild skunk, you know, their spray is their defense mechanism. Without it, they're pretty defenseless other than running or fighting. And they're pretty small compared to most of our predators. But with the spray, they are capable of, you know, notifying everybody, you don't want to mess with me, and then you get the punch afterwards. But without that, they're relatively defenseless. So with her, she had to be put in permanent placement, so she came to Sequoyah. So Pretty Girl, she was blown out of her nest from a really bad storm with her sibling. Both of them went into a rehab facility, and they were both incredibly young at the time. So it is pretty frequent with birds when they're really small that they will imprint on humans. Think of the concept of a duckling. You know, first thing it sees when it hatches to them is their parent. So same kind of concept. They were incredibly young. They thought that the rehabbers were their parents, and so it took a very long time to try to break that, but ultimately it didn't work. So they tried to do what's called a soft release. This is pretty common in the rehabber world, and this is what a licensed rehabber can do. So they will release the animal into the wild and continue to care for it, providing it food and water and shelter, but it is truly out in the elements, just like a wild animal. So the goal with that is they learn to hunt and to take care of themselves, and ultimately they will find a wild mate and they'll go on. With our owl, she had no interest in that. She was released on 4 different occasions, and each time she came back to the enclosure that she was reared in, and so because of that, she had to be kept permanently in a placement, and our sibling went to another facility as a permanent placement. So with Pretty Girl, she is 26 years old. She is a fairly well-aged owl. Usually they live 5 to 8 in the wild, and they've been recorded in the mid-20s in captivity. So she is up there in age, and she's kind of an oddball, and she's always been an oddball. What makes her very unique is at the age of 21, she began laying eggs. She had never recorded previously laying eggs, and so that is something that is incredibly unique about Pretty Girl. She waited until later in life to decide, maybe I'll give this a shot. So here at Sequoyah, we are not a rehab. There are local rehabs all over the state, and if you find an animal that is injured or orphaned, the first thing you should do is contact a rehabber. Instead of going up and trying to touch the animal, oftentimes their parents are not far away. So if you ever find an animal and you're concerned about its safety, contact a local rehab. You can find that on the ODWC website under local rehabs, and it'll show you every single rehab in the state based on county.
Well, I know, I love to be on camera, but I'm sure the audience enjoyed like a little break from me. There's some nice, you got to see a beaver, a coyote, like that's a lot of fun whenever you can do that.
We like those animal ambassadors.
Yes.
They're a lot of fun.
By the way, we've got our team here today, Megan, Nathan, Kirsten. How are you all doing today?
Good.
Awesome. Monday morning.
Has anyone been to Sequoyah State Park recently? Or?
Love Sequoyah State Park.
No, I have to admit that is like one of the few state parks that I have never been to.
You've never been to
I have
Sequoyah?
never been there. I don't know why.
That's amazing.
Like it is amazing. Like I need to go there because I've heard nothing.
Well, and they've got animal friends for you.
I've seen about 9 million photos of it, of course, over the years, and told people to go take photos of this and talk to the park people. But that is my goal for this year, is to go to Sequoyah.
Megan, I'll go with you because I went to Sequoyah bay on the other side, but I didn't get to go to Sequoyah
yes.
because we were on like such a time crunch the day we went out, so we had to book it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, no, I haven't been to Sequoyah Bay either, so.
Well, the lodges reopen at Sequoyah, so maybe y'all should, and Chris should go up and do a little piece about the lodge reopening.
It's a beautiful lodge, and they have really great cabins at Sequoyah too. I know because I've seen many photos of.
We stayed in one last year.
and I've heard. Yeah, I know. I heard
Brian's
nothing
birthday, we had
but
a great
good
time.
things. And there's a restaurant there.
And the
restaurant,
golf course.
like-
Golf course.
I really
Yeah.
want to play the golf course out there.
The ADA, we hiked the ADA trail. It's really nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do in Sequoyah. And then we had a great day. We drove over to Tahlequah, which is right there. And we did all the Cherokee stuff at Tahlequah. And had a really nice time in downtown Tahlequah, which is like one of the greatest downtowns in Oklahoma.
I do. I like Tahlequah.
Yeah, see?
And if you visit, you can meet all their amazing animal
Yeah.
All the
ambassadors.
animal
Yes.
ambassadors, too. Yeah, it's a nice park.
So-
Bixby the beaver, who will be in our animal issue.
Yep.
Animal issue coming up here.
Yeah, September, October. That's exciting.
Well, watching what Chris put together made me a little jealous that I don't have my own animal ambassador. I need some animal who can just represent me out to the public at large. I think we all feel the same way.
Yeah.
Which is why our question of the week this time is, if you had to choose your own personal animal ambassador, what would it be? What would represent you? Nathan, I know that you've given this a lot of thought, right?
I mean, I'm a big dog person, so I want to say dog, but like, let me get creative for a second.
Yes.
It's definitely a dog, right?
Uh-huh.
Like,
But can we narrow it down?
but if I'm gonna say not dog and get creative, I think a red panda.
Oh, okay.
I think I feel like I have big red panda energy.
I see that.
Yeah, I could see that being my spirit animal. I've never gone in search of what my spirit animal is. If anybody just sees it and knows, tell me.
What is the Pixar movie with the red panda that's new? I don't know. See, now this,
Ronnie the red panda.
Kirsten knows.
Goes to
She doesn't know
town.
the
I don't
title
I
of it
don't
right
know the
now.
title. It might honestly. No, it's not just Red Panda.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll look
this
for
is,
you,
we're
Rob.
It's
just
not up on my Pixar. But
just
yeah, I'm
all-
gonna say red panda. I like them.
Uh-huh.
I like them. You can see them at the Oklahoma City Zoo, by the way,
Yes.
and they're great.
Excellent answer. While Kirsten's looking that up, I'll go to Megan. What is your animal ambassador?
I mean, a cat would be a good one, but maybe a raccoon. Like I have been told, I feel like other people have sort of bestowed the raccoon as my animal ambassador.
Yes, I've heard people say this.
Yes, So, I mean, they're adaptable with their living environments
And their
and
little
their
hands.
diet, and and you know, they're maybe a raccoon.
Okay.
Or a guinea pig. Just I don't know. I like
A guinea pig. Now, why the guinea pig?
Well, they sleep a lot and they are kind of stationary and they like treats.
Yes.
So
All things that are true of you.
yeah.
What
So
a
I mean, I
existence.
find guinea pigs pretty relatable. I
Okay.
really desperately want a guinea pig, but I have 2 cats, so and a small living space.
Yeah, I
so,
think they would torture said
Yeah,
guinea
it would
pig.
not
for
be
anybody.
good for the
Yes.
guinea pig.
Yeah, I don't know. I think of like if I was going to give you an animal, a spirit guide, I would give you like a raptor, like a very regal, like with a lot of presence.
Well, that's
like an
nice.
like
See,
a golden eagle or
I'm
something.
feeling more like, something that jumps out of a trash can these days. So that's I appreciate the elegant raptor.
Now, Kirsten, did you find an answer to the Pixar question?
Yeah, it's Turning Red.
Oh, Turning Red. Yes,
Turning Red.
that's exactly
All
right.
I'll
Which is
have to
actually a really
watch that
cute
one.
movie. I liked it a lot.
Yes.
All right.
Well, Red Panda's not your representation, though. Your ambassador.
No.
What is your ambassador?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
You don't
I-
know. You took the BuzzFeed quiz. What was the
know.
answer?
I didn't like what it gave me.
What did it say?
A Shiba Inu, the dog.
Oh, okay.
Those are
Nice
some of the
dogs.
nicest dogs.
Well, I didn't like the description they gave it, so I don't want that
okay.
answer.
Okay, fair.
But
And if you don't give us an answer, we'll have to give you
yeah,
an answer.
you guys can give me an answer. If I had to, though, I mean, like, I would probably just pick one of my favorite animals, which is either like a lion or a shark or something, because those are cool.
Yeah.
Probably more of like a shark, because I like to go play in the water, and that would be more fun.
Okay.
But yeah, other one, I don't.
Yeah.
Like, are we
know.
thinking gray white shark or some other kind of shark? Maybe a
Maybe
little
a tiger
tamer kind of
shark?
Reef shark, maybe.
Probably a shark that's like cool, because they're all cool. But like maybe one that's a little stupid, because I could definitely be a little stupid sometimes.
No,
That's not true at all.
Kirsten's very on top of it when it comes to
We've got
picking.
Kirsten being a little stupid and me jumping out of trash cans. Like we're
Just a little clumsy, you know. The little sharks that kind of like mocking.
I was going to say,
Really
yeah,
low.
we're not, whatever the animal is, it doesn't have a lot of self-esteem. What, Chris, what about you?
Oh,
What are you? Chris Ham.
I think for me it's the bison.
That's a good one. That's a good answer.
I just love them, and I think they're very sneaky, athletic.
Yeah.
They can be docile, and they're just, I don't know, they're just the American story, right? They were almost to extinction, and now they're thriving, and they're delicious.
Tourists love to pull over at the side of the road and take photographs of it.
They're delicious, but when sourced responsibly, like we're doing now.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then the other one for me would be a coyote. I love coyotes.
That's a good answer.
Again, they're survivors,
I like this.
right? They get blamed for stuff they probably didn't do. I mean, that's
Yeah.
their story.
They're elusive. You hear them before you see them.
Exactly.
You rarely
That's
see
true.
them. Yeah.
Anyway,
That's true.
I just admire the coyote.
That's a good answer.
And we got to meet a coyote on
we
this week's.
did.
Yeah, so and it was so cool to see a coyote. Like they're just so skittish. You don't normally get to meet a coyote, but the one we had today was very playful. So Chris actually skipped me.
Yeah. Well, I was just
location.
answering the question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I don't need to go before
I do want to know your
Chris all
answer,
the time.
though.
Yes.
Ben, what was that?
So like Kirsten, I did take the BuzzFeed quiz, and I also didn't like the answer it gave me because it was just dog, and I just need something more specific than that.
I'm gonna take this.
Dog
quiz.
is too general. So I really like elephants, but to narrow it down, my animal ambassador would be the Borneo pygmy elephant, which is the smallest living variety of elephant. 8 to 9 feet tall they grow. Yes, even smaller than your typical Asian, like mainland Asian elephants.
I like this answer.
Yes.
That's a good specific answer.
That is a very specific answer.
Because I want an elephant to represent me, but I don't want something that's just like so imposing.
Right.
Or scary. Something that could reasonably walk into this room right now, and we wouldn't panic that bad.
Everybody just looked at the door.
Everybody
Everybody on the set just looked at the door when you said that.
The elephant, yeah. The big reveal.
Apparently we all believe you have the power to make that happen.
You think I'm John Oliver or something? I can't.
I just
don't
still
have
just
those
wondering,
strings to pull.
even if the elephant is like short enough, I don't know if it's gonna fit through the door anyway.
Fair.
That's
Yeah.
true.
That hallway's a little tight when
That's
you
true.
cut those corners.
But maybe you can imagine it, as opposed to some
Yeah.
other elephants. You just couldn't even imagine them in here. Well, that does it for question of the week, but we need feedback from you. What would be your animal ambassador? Go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Is it a dog? And if so, kind of specify. If you need some help, take the BuzzFeed quiz. There's like 60 of them out there for your favorite animals.
If you
Or
don't
go-
like it, you can take it again.
Or go to a
Exactly.
state park and meet the animal ambassador. So
yes.
you meet him face to face.
Yes, even better.
That's a great program.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
All the naturalist stuff at state parks is so cool.
And it was cool that, all those animals are just, they would be, without the state park to help them out, they wouldn't have anywhere to be because there are animals that can't be in the wild otherwise. It's just really cool.
It's cool.
All right, well now we are pivoting to a little part of the show we like to call podvents. This is where we go through the travelok.com event calendar pick out a few of our favorite gyms. Is there anyone who'd like to go first this week?
I'll do
All right. Megan is
Megan.
enthusiastic about being present.
Yes, I am, because I have, it's the Burns Supper at the American Legion Mohawk Post 308 on East Admiral in Tulsa. This is an event being put on by the Scottish Club of Tulsa, and I've always wanted to go to one of these Burns Suppers.
Yes.
This is July 12th. I don't know if I said that, but now I am. So this event, it is $60 a person, and you get a choice of smoked boneless leg of lamb, honey drizzled smoked salmon, Scottish Cornish game hen, or vegetarian option. Which,
Well, how the heck am I supposed to decide?
yeah, no, it's a good. But with every meal, you will also get haggis, which is a delicacy that I find. I don't know what I think about it. So it's a sheep's stomach that is filled with chopped up like sheep organs and oatmeal and spices and herbs. And people have told me that despite how that sounds, it is really good. But I'm an adventurous food eater, so I would like to try that.
The hot dog's ancient ancestor.
Yes, you know, it probably is good. But this is, Burns Suppers are like a global annual event that celebrates the Scottish poet Robert Burns, who's considered like the national poet of Scotland. And it's the 225th commemoration of the First Supper, and they have like a ceremony of 7 toasts, and then there's probably some poetry reading. I think at this particular thing there will be an award ceremony, and then there's going to be like singing and dancing. And if you want more information, you can go to scottishcluboftulsa.com.
Cool.
So, you get to have some drinks, eat a bunch of food, and dance.
Yeah,
Sounds
well,
like
how can you beat that?
a good night.
That's one of those things I've been like reading and hearing about for a long time, and I think it'd be really cool.
Yeah,
to go
they
to.
do them all over the place. So like they do them in a lot of Irish pubs. So check your social media feeds, and if this isn't in the cards for you, there might be something closer that you can go to.
Yes.
I just think it's a really cool Scottish tradition.
Yeah, I think one of the cool things about those nights is that, it does happen, like there is a specific day you do it on. So there's so many people just around the world, like, kind of doing the same thing you are.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yes. Nate, what's your event this time?
For my event, we're going to the Cherokee Strip Regional Heritage Center in Enid for an art exhibit called Resilience, a Sansei Sense of Legacy. This is an art exhibit by a group of Japanese-American artists who are reflecting on Executive Order 9066 was the executive order that Franklin D. Roosevelt issued after Pearl Harbor that created Japanese internment camps in the West, in America, the West and the Midwest. And so Sansei, the word in the title of the exhibit, refers to third generation. So this is the third generation of people after that executive order kind of reflecting on this experience of Japanese internment in America during World War II. And so they are, it's photography, it's found art, it's all kind of art exhibit. And they are just kind of looking back on this and thinking about, things like lost property and broken communities. It's going to be really powerful and really interesting. It's there in Enid. It's a traveling exhibit, so it's a nationwide traveling exhibit. It'll be there through August 30th. You can go to okhistory.org, and there's a visit tab at the top. If you come down, there's an events calendar, and you can find the information under there. It sounds like it's going to be a really interesting deal. There's a lot of stuff to say about that, about Japanese internment. They actually have a really interesting perspective on it. This is at again, it's the Cherokee Strip Regional Heritage Center. You can also go to csrhc.org for more information, or you can call 580-237-1907. But it sounds like it's going to be really, really cool.
Yes, and
really important thing to go see.
Yeah, I can imagine the internment experience is the kind of thing that sort of echoes and reverberates in the family line for generations.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the idea of the third generation is, we didn't experience this, but we're reflecting on what it means for us today that our in this case grandparents did.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah,
exhibit.
so it sounds like it's going to be really cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
So it's part of Exhibits USA, and they do a lot of traveling exhibits like this all over the country.
Okay. Yes. Kirsten, what's your event this time?
Well, my event, as of when this episode airs, is technically currently already happening. It's the entire month of July.
Okay.
It's in Chickasha. It is the Chickasha Christmas in July.
Ah, perfect.
So all month
Have Christmas in July.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, it is in Christmas. They are pretty much at this point, they're in Christmas Town. They call themselves Christmas Town. They're crazy for Christmas, but they're Christmas in July. So they had some like 4th of July stuff that they tied in. They'll have like each night this month, they're going to have the big tree lit up, which is like the Festival of Light centerpiece. So you can go look at the big tree and it will be lit up in Shannon Springs Park.
Cool.
And then there will also be, on Thursday nights at the Chickasha Community Theater, they're going to be playing holiday-themed movies. So if you want to watch a movie, get in the little Christmas spirit in July, then you can go down to the Chickasha Community Theater. Like local boutiques and like locally owned businesses around town are going to be doing Christmas in July sales. So you kind of have to keep an eye out for that, watch their social media, see who's doing what. And then at the end of the month, because this all started in 2020 as just a simple block party, and it's now this big event.
A month-long event.
Yeah. And so at the end of the month, they're going to have the Christmas Cool Down concert and block party. And that'll be, like, it'll include arts and crafts, a summer cycle Santa, some free snow cones, face painting, 3 large inflatable water slides that you can play on. There'll be live music, and then there's going to be another fireworks show that night. That'll be the fireworks finale over downtown Chickasha.
Cool.
And,
Wow.
yeah, so you can see, like, all of this information, all their scheduling and stuff at chickashachamber.com/Christmas in July. And so they're going to keep everyone updated using that.
That's awesome.
Well, I might need to go to Chickasha because I'm ready for Christmas already, to be honest.
Always ready.
I'm mostly ready for the Christmas season.
This is a weird thing about what we do because it's June 30th right now as we're sitting here talking.
Yes.
Next month, we're going to start working on our November, December.
Yeah. And it's all, I get all like seasonally screwed up.
We're out of time.
I feel like it speeds up time too because after we get done with the issue, then it's
like the beginning of
almost
October.
time. Well, then it's almost time for that issue cycle. So I feel like I'm always kind of pushed forward on the timeline.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, I just choose to take it as reminders to shop early.
Yes.
And I never do.
But at least I have the reminder.
I wish that I was like my best friend is like buys Christmas presents for people all year round, and then she isn't stressed out about it by December. And I'm like, if only I were a planner like that.
That would be nice.
I buy them all week before Christmas.
The thing that I like the least about the Christmas season is how stressed out I am by the present buying.
Well, that's why Christmas in July is perfect.
Yeah. You know what helps me with that though is I have a like every payday I have an automatic $25 withdrawal into a savings account and it's Christmas.
Oh, that's a smart idea. I just am like, I'm never gonna financially recover from this every year.
Merry Christmas, June 30th.
Yes.
What says?
This is the double-edged sword of Christmas.
You could. It could be a great Christmas gift for the right person if you think way ahead of time.
Okay.
My event's about a certain person. And the kids might know him as the sick guy that Timothée Chalamet went to visit in A Complete Unknown. The rest of us probably know him as the mind behind This Land Is Your Land and some of the greatest folk tunes to ever exist. I'm, of course, talking about Woody Guthrie. And Woody Guthrie was born in Okemah, Oklahoma.
Yep.
And for nearly 3 decades now, they've been celebrating the birth of Woody Guthrie in their town with Woody Fest, the Woody Guthrie Folk Festival, which returns this year. It's every year in July, and it returns this year on Wednesday, July 9th through Saturday, July 12th. The town of Okemah really comes alive during this whole time. I mean, hardly an hour goes by in that town without some kind of live music performance, either on or off schedule, performing or going on somewhere there. And another big draw at the Woody Fest, especially in the last few years, it's gotten really big, is their Children's Festival at Okemah Park. They've got games, art, a whole bunch of workshops, just really cool stuff you don't find at other places. Like, I was looking at what they were offering this year, and there's like a flute building workshop, a songwriting workshop, a kids open mic. Like, yeah, how cool is that? If you have a kid that like loves to perform, I mean, this is a place to go. And it's free admission for kids with a ticketed adult. So, yeah, really cool event, the Children's Fest. But for people who maybe don't have a kid or just want to see the music like they're known for, Woody Fest is the greatest place to go for like really songwriting forward music. I mean, it's called the Folk Festival, but you'll find like lots of stuff like off folk, anything from like country, R&B, even like some like pop adjacent stuff out there. This year they've got a lot of big names: Mallory Eagle, Kaylin Faye, John Moreland, Jacob Tovar, Red Dirt Rangers, and of course Annie and Sarah Lee Guthrie, I guess granddaughters of Woody Guthrie and daughters of Arlo Guthrie. So it's always great to have the family out there, get a little piece of the Guthrie lineage.
It's really cool. The Guthrie family always leads this sing along of this land,
yes,
which is always like the coolest moment.
It really is. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's worth the price of admission.
That
really
alone, honestly, seriously,
yes.
It's so fun.
So this is occurring at various venues around Okemah. You can check out the full schedule at woodyfest.com. Also, session passes of various lengths are for sale there. So once again, go to woodyfest.com. But yeah, it's a great time in Okemah, Oklahoma. And also, if you're there and you can try to get into Pepino's Mexican restaurant, if you can get in, great, congratulations. If not, because I know it'll be competitive to try to get in there, it's worth the return visit to Okemah later, trust me.
Definitely. The poetry thing is always really fun, too.
Yes.
It's technically not affiliated, it's a side event, but it happens kind of adjacent.
Yes,
and that's always
also
really
going on, and that's a lot of fun too. It attracts a lot of people.
I love Woody Fest. I'm so glad you made that your event.
It really is.
It's a really
yes, I wrote a feature on Woody Fest a while ago. That was a lot of fun. All right, well now it's time for star of the show, and I'm giving it to the Oklahoma State Park naturalists.
Yeah,
they do such a great job, especially there at Sequoyah State Park with all the animal ambassadors. I mean, it's a great service to help animals who would really be in trouble without them.
Yeah, and I think people don't really clock how much interactive stuff there is to do at state parks. I think people think you kind of show up and either hike or do whatever.
Exactly.
But really, you can go in the nature center, you can go in the lodges, you can go in, whatever they have, and there's always someone there who's willing to help you figure out something to do or teach you something, or there's an animal ambassador or a naturalist. They're amazing. State park staff are awesome. So go and talk to them and meet them and ask them things.
Yes. Yeah. Naturalists, we salute you.
We love
them. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we've got for you this week. This has been the show, and known from here to Ceiling, home of the Delicioso Bistro and Coffee Bar, and their delicious Italian nachos as the Oklahoma Today podcast. Head to oklahomatoday.com or pick up our latest issue on newsstands right now. Send your feedback to oktpod@travelok.com. We'll see you again next week.
Goodbye.
Goodbye? I think that's what we say.
Goodbye.